Mr. Costa, do you believe that illegal immigration is illegal?
Under the statutes, yes.
Okay. Mr. Sakara, am I saying your name right? Do you agree with that statement?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Costa, what grade, A, B, C, D, F, would you give President Biden's administration on combating illegal immigration?
I don't know what grade I would put it. I think they've made some useful improvements, but I think that the border there's so much money going to the border that I think the border is mostly secure. People are mostly turning themselves in. They're not really crossing the border without authorization.
You can't give a grade? You're an expert on immigration, and you can't give a grade?
Oh, I guess if I had to, I'd probably be about a C, right in the middle somewhere.
A C or a D?
A C, because they kept some Trump policies in place. They've made some improvements. They're
Right.
sort of in between.
Okay, how about you, Mr. Sakura?
Are we grading on a curve, Senator?
No, sir.
I would be generous and say a D minus.
Okay. All right. Can we agree that either President Biden's administration believes in open borders, or the person that he has put in charge of making immigration policy is not qualified to manage a food truck?
I would fully reject the notion that the Biden administration believes in open borders.
Okay, how about you, Mr. Secure?
At the risk of being too lawyerly, I might be interested in the definition of open borders. I think it's certainly fair to say there is a lack of significant enforcement at the border. And in fact, my clients who
Well, let me try to put a finer point on it. Right now, we have conscientious farm workers who live in other countries, some of whom have worked here before. We have Nigerian doctors. We have German engineers who are waiting years patiently in line, trying to follow the rules of legal immigration to come into our country. But yet, the Biden administration will welcome anybody who can either secretly or less than secretly come into the United States from the southern border. Is that not correct?
I don't believe so. I believe that the people showing up at the border are mostly seeking humanitarian protections because there's a dire need in this hemisphere.
How about you, Mr. Secure? Do you think that my description is correct?
I do, Senator, and that seems to be obvious from watching the evening news.
Well, the agencies responsible for the legal immigration system, Mr. Costa, are failing to process applications promptly, aren't they?
I would say it depends. For low-wage work visas, they are mostly processing them quite quickly.
We've got a backlog of 24 million applications. What do you mean it depends?
It depends on which visa you're talking about. I would say for H-2B, for instance, the USCIS prides themselves on how quickly they process those visas. When it comes to other things like work permits, they've been slow, and I think the problem is that Congress has not appropriated funds for them. They have this fee-based structure.
It's always money. We now have a larger federal budget adjusted for inflation than we've ever had in the history of the United States of America.
But with all due respect,
always the money. Mr. Secure, what kind of job do you think that the Biden administration has done with legal immigration with a 24 million person backlog?
I think any fair estimation is that it's poor.
Well, can we agree that legal immigration is good and illegal immigration is bad?
I would think so. The country is founded on immigration, people coming here from other countries. Legal immigration is good, yes.
Does anybody disagree with that statement? Does anybody want to defend the Biden administration's 24 million people backlog in illegal immigration? But yet millions have come illegally across the border? Does anybody want to defend that? Anybody? Thank you for being here.